You're gonna have to put a pin in it.
Oh, we got to put a pin in it. Oh, see? When you say that, I know exactly what we're talking about. So we'll do this. We'll do this. And then we'll hit this. Very professional. There.
Everyone, would you please welcome to the Putting You Over podcast, representing Glory Pro Wrestling, your father's favorite wrestler, Dan the Dad.
Hopefully. Could you hear that, Dan the Dad?
I could. It was super loud, but super
Oh,
professional.
I apologize. I was watching the audio feed go up and down, and I was like, I don't think that's that loud for him, but maybe it was. How's everything else? Am I too loud?
No, you're good. I'm sorry I'm late. I was just grabbing some tacos and dinner ran a little bit late, but I'm full and satisfied. So
That's fine.
good now.
Yeah, it's fine. We're not the most professional show, but that's okay. I actually said I got picked on earlier about my farmer's tan, and I said it's very apropos for tonight. You know, this is a dad tan. This is what a dad tan looks like.
It is, but I was actually just in Vegas over the weekend, and so I finally evened that out for the first time in a few years. So I'm very excited to be in the ring this Saturday and not have a farmer's tan for the first time in a while. So
That's Glory Pro this weekend,
yep, on Saturday, May 22nd.
May 22nd. Gosh, I just looked at the name of that pay per view too. Uh, in something insufferable? No, what was
No,
it?
that's way off.
You're gonna make me guess, aren't you? Does it start with an I?
No, it's called Wild Ambition.
Oh, Wild Ambition.
That's the next one.
Oh,
And then we just announced our event for July 25th with Ethan Page. He's coming back. He's one of our good buddies, and he's going to come help us out and be a famous superstar. But the name of that one is The Heat Is On, because that was the most dad name of a show that I could think of, especially for a late July show. So I'm very excited for that. And I might change my music to Glenn Fry for that one, just to keep with the theme. So that'll be a good time.
from Top Gun. Ethan Page. What does he mean to you in your wrestling career?
Oh, tons. I mean, he's been one of my mentors ever since I started. I probably met him. I think my first road trip, I maybe had a couple of matches, and then I met him out in Cleveland at AIW, and kind of since then he's always just been a great mentor. You know, he was instrumental in even coming up with Dan the Dad, as he likes to say. So yeah, and he's been a good friend, a great mentor for many years for me.
Is he the Stan Lee to your Dan the Dad?
I think so. That's pretty appropriate. I'd say that. That makes me like Spider-Man. So
It does make you like Spider Man. um, so all right, I was going to talk about that a little later. What is the origin story of Dan the Dad? How does it involve Ethan Page? The Alamo, which there is no basement in the Alamo for those keeping score at home. What is the origin story?
Yeah, it's interesting. So we were on a little weekend in Texas. So I was down there, and so a couple of the Canadian guys were down there. So Ethan Page was there, Shane Saber, another good Ontario guy. So we were down there, and we had some time to kill. So the first show was in San Antonio, and the hotel that we were staying at was like 5 minutes from the Alamo, where that area is. And so I was able to nobody wanted to, but I was able to convince us, like, hey, we never get to see any sights while we're on the road. We're always just going from town to town. Like, let's go see the Alamo. It's right there. We don't gotta leave. We don't gotta leave for. I think we were going to maybe Austin or something later that day for
That
something.
is
Like,
a dad thing to do.
we can wake up early. We can get there, and we did. And then Ethan Page he's always had his vlog, and he always needs content for that. So I'm like, get the camera out. Film us at the Alamo. It'll be great for the vlog. Everyone will love it. And so we did that, had a great time, just like I said. And as we're sort of walking around a bit, I had actually just we stopped in like a gift shop, and I wanted a souvenir because we were just at the Alamo. We're in San Antonio. We're having a great time. So I wanted a souvenir. So we stop, and there's some cheap little like dad hats that just say San Antonio, Texas on it. I should have worn it for this. I got it in my room somewhere over here, but and it's just your basic dad hat, and I just bought it. I threw it on, and then Paige and Shane Saber just could not stop giving me shit for that I was wearing this dad hat that looked, I guess, so uncool. I thought it was a fine hat, but they thought it was so uncool. And then that just sort of like snowballed into this rib on me that I dress like a dad and that I act like a dad and that I should just be Dan the dad in the ring. And, a few months went by and I was like, no, I can't do that. At the time I was kind of like a serious wrestler. I was just, just some guy in some black tights, nothing too special. And then, and I was always looking for something a little bit new, just kind of freshen things up. And then, this Dan the Dad thing just sort of took on a life of its own. Then Ethan Page and Mance Warner go and they do like a High Spots interview where they basically for like 30 minutes, maybe even to an hour, are talking about Dan the Dad could do this and this. And then it just sort of like, then that's when they got introduced to the fans, and then they started to get into it. And then it was like, all right, well, I can do this. I can just I can lean into this because obviously it's already a part of my personality because it all started with the fact that I wanted, to wear a dad hat or how I dress or how I act anyway. So, it just it took on a life of its own. And then once I started leaning into it, I tried it out just one time up in Canada, actually. Kind of, I was booked for Alpha One up in Ontario. And the day before we had another booking at a kind of a smaller show kind of near there. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to try it. I'm just going to throw these glasses on. I'm going to throw, just like, I think I had like a Mickey Mouse t-shirt or something that I brought with me. I'm like, let's just give this a try. And it worked right off the bat. And it was a lot of fun. So I'm like, you know what, I'm done trying to be serious. I'm done trying to, at least take myself too seriously. I just want to have more fun and kind of create something more fun for the fans. And then it just sort of, it went from there. So it's been a ton of fun for everybody, I think.
So do you have dad tendencies? Are you just an over responsible guy when you're on the road?
Yes, that's the thing. I remember actually was back a little bit before that was with WrestleMania weekend up in New York, New Jersey. So 20,
yep.
I guess.
I was there. Yeah.
So even then I was getting made fun of because nobody, we're all hanging out in, down near like Times Square trying to kill some time and have a good time. And everyone's looking at me to like figure out what we should do next. And I started to get aggravated. I'm like, you guys don't, I'm not your dad. I don't need to like drag you to see the sights, but everyone just sort of was relying on me to, I guess I just come off as responsible and maybe I am. Maybe I'm just more responsible than your average indie wrestler. So I kind of got the dad vibes or something from everybody.
I'm a dad, and you are giving off dad vibes. You have the glasses, the mug of coffee, the extremely short khaki shorts. But as I'm talking, all I can think about is an episode of Full House with Danny Tanner with his clipboard of fun. You should incorporate a clipboard of fun.
That's a fantastic idea. Yeah.
That could actually, though, could it be gimmick infringement with Jericho's list?
I mean, enough time has passed. That was years ago. Yeah. You don't think it was years ago, but then time flies. So when you get older, and like I was watching some WrestleMania. I just threw on Peacock. There was like a WrestleMania thing, and it was Shawn Michaels and Undertaker, and right. it was like oh, it was 2010. And I'm like, that was 11 years ago. Like, you got to be shitting me. So it's like you don't think that enough. So when it comes to the list or a clipboard, I mean that was like 4 or 5 years ago. You don't even realize it.
Clipboard of fun would be great. Do you keep up with today's product?
I do. I try to. It's just a lot. It's a lot to keep up with, especially. I catch it when I can. I try to catch all the pay-per-views, everything major. Maybe not everything week to week, but yeah, I definitely still enjoy it. I try to keep up with everybody.
When you watch the current product, do you watch it as a fan, as a wrestler, as a promoter? Is it challenging?
It's kind of it's all three of those. I think you watch stuff one to keep yourself sharp. I mean, it's always good to kind of see what's current and what's working for everyone. You just got to kind of adapt and wrestling changes over a lot over the years. It's just, you can't just kind of do one thing and expect to stay over for the entire time. So it's always good just to kind of keep up with what's hot and what's going on. And then, I still watch it as a fan just because to not watch it as a fan would feel like there was something missing from my life. Cause I've been a wrestling fan ever since I was born. It was just kind of something I grew up with in the house, and I have an older brother who was into it, and my dad and everything. So, I definitely watch stuff with trying to maybe study it, maybe just try to keep up with it, but then also just I gotta sit back and enjoy it when I can, especially when I can just have some buddies over and watch a pay-per-view is still kind of one of my favorite things to do, for sure.
Oh my gosh, I remember those days. Everybody over, get some pizza, watch WrestleMania 14 or something. Great stuff. So yeah, so wrestling, there's not that one moment, I can relate to that. I can't pinpoint one specific moment. My older brother was into it. My dad had it on. You had mentioned your grandfather even in the St. Louis area went to, oh gosh, I can't remember what it was. In the
Wrestling at the Chase.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is your brother, is he into it as much as you, as far as he didn't get in the ring, did he?
No. He's more responsible than me. So
he's more of a dad.
He's going to be a dad for the first time.
Oh, congratulations!
So I will be an uncle. So that's great. But no, he's not something that he wanted to get into himself. I think I was the most into it of the two of us. Kind of stayed into it all the way through, high school and then through college, and where I was like, I'm going to give it a try. Well, it wasn't something that I would say that I expected to even excel at or anything. It was just one of those things where it's like, I would regret it if I didn't at least
try it.
Go down to do some training and give it a try. And that's what I did. And then I just sort of, just stayed in love with it and never, I've been active I started training in 2014. So about 7 years now. I've not been inactive, I guess, aside from this past year of not doing much, but
right.
I just haven't been, I went one time expecting or not knowing what to expect. And I haven't stopped, I guess.
Oh man, it makes me regret. Like I should have done something like that. I never did it. So you started in 2014. You wrestled in AIW, I believe, AAW, Ring of Honor as well. And at that time in Ring of Honor, it was loaded.
Yeah, I mean, we myself and Paco, right, who we had started training together, so we got paired up a lot as we went to just went along to some Ring of Honor stuff right when we started. And that, like I said, like at that time, that was Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong. I mean, everybody was there at that time when it was like really, really hot, and it was like maybe the best it's ever been, just for talent wise. And so it was a really awesome group of people to learn from, because they would always, we would just be doing like the pre-show dark matches, whatever you want to call it. And a lot of them that Roderick Strong would watch a lot of those matches and then come back and give feedback. And it's like, especially for someone, at that time, less than a year in, there's really nobody better to get that reinforcement and feedback from right from the start. So it was like a really great learning tree to sit under with everyone who was there at that time.
What's one thing that you can remember taking away from that time there under the learning tree?
Oh gosh, I mean, so many things. I think a lot of it was, kind of knowing what your spot is on the card, especially when you're doing like a pre-show thing. It got explained to me one time, I think it was by Matt Seidel. He said, like, if you're doing a pre-show match, you should definitely just kind of get the guy in a rear chin lock and have the crowd kind of clap a little bit to kind of get the babyface to come up, and then that trains the crowd that they should clap to get the babyface to come up for the rest of the show. And so it's things like that they would kind of teach you that, like, I never forgot that. I still tell people to this day. Like if you're doing a pre-show, if you want to go and have like an incredible match or do some real athletic stuff, like that's cool. But you can also still work in things that actually help set the stage for the rest of the show. So it's cool to learn from people, guys who were doing it on TV. They when Ring of Honor had TV at that time, so everyone was just kind of thinking more about the good of the whole card and the good of the show, and it was like a real team kind of atmosphere. So I think that's what I kind of learned the best is not just to go out and wrestle for yourself, but to wrestle for the fans, and then wrestle for the team that you're playing on and everyone on the roster.
You talked about heels and baby faces there. Is it next to impossible, or is it very challenging to be a heel as a dad with a dad gimmick?
Yeah, and so before I started doing the character, I've been mostly a heel my whole career before that. So a lot of places where people knew me, they knew me as a heel. So when I started doing Dan the Dad, it was kind of a little bit awkward as a heel. I think it's got a kind of a as I was kind of learning the character and trying out different stuff, I found that like a heel dad just doesn't really play as well as like a baby face, a fun-loving character who's there to kind of make people laugh. Trying to do it as like a mean, disciplined kind of dad, it was like I don't think that really worked much. But as I sort of got a feel for it, and I think fans wanted to react to it more in a babyface way, and it just sort of naturally just started to. I just turned babyface pretty much everywhere that I was wrestling consistently, just because that's what people wanted out of the character, and then that's just the kind of the way that it went. But that definitely at the beginning there was kind of a little bit of an awkward transition, kind of trying to maybe still be heel, but it really just didn't really work with trying to also be a little bit more of a comedy wrestler. So it's definitely a learning experience trying to figure all that out.
Transitions, you just mentioned, before before Ethan Page allowed you to become Dan the Dad, you were mainly in trios and tag teams. No New Friends comes to mind. But there was a tag team that I learned about when I'm researching you, which blew my mind because I'm a huge Fight Club fan.
Oh,
so you were Adam Ryan, and you were teamed up with Warhorse is what I'll use in this analogy so people know.
Yeah.
But you had the whole Fight Club theme. What was that like? Because that could be. I didn't see any footage of this. I just heard you talking about it, and being a big Fight Club movie fan and an actual fan of the author that wrote the book and all that fun stuff. It seems extremely interesting to me. Was it fun to do? Was it interesting?
It was interesting to figure out how to do it. So the way that it kind of came about, so that was through a company called NWL. Okay. And so when it was a company that promotion, this guy is like a millionaire guy from Kansas City, decided he wanted to be Vince McMahon and started this big promotion. I wasn't a big fan of him, so I kind of talk a bit negatively about him, but
that's when you cut the promo and is that when you cut the promo and got fired and people thought it was a work?
Yeah, it was a whole Twitter thing, but we can come back to that. No, so it was so he's from Kansas City, but he had this idea for a promotion that would be like Kansas City versus St. Louis. Right. There would be like a Kansas City roster and a St. Louis roster, a Raw SmackDown type of dynamic there. But his big idea, and maybe not so much his idea, but I think he got some people in his ear that's like, if you're going to do this big thing, you need to have your own characters, and you need to get some wrestlers, but you need to own the characters and their names. So a lot of us from the St. Louis area, it's like St. Louis, Kansas City, some Texas people, a few others. Dak Draper was probably the most. He was the biggest name to come out of it. He kind of he took off after NWL, but so it was this thing where they wanted to give everyone a character and a gimmick that was different from what they were doing anywhere else on Independence.
Okay.
And so I got. They knew I was there. They're going to pair me with Warhorse, but they wanted to give us new characters. And then we had this conference call. I think it was like four people from their office, then me and Warhorse on the call. And we were just sort of kicking around ideas. We didn't really know exactly what we wanted to do. because we were kind of like, well, you just kind of, we threw out some ideas that they didn't really like. So we're like, okay, what ideas do you guys have? And one of them was like, well, what if it was like we called you guys like the underground, and you're like, you're like a normal guy, but he like runs a fight club, and then you guys kind of become friends, and he brings you into the fight club or whatever. And I'm like, well, that just sounds like Fight Club, but I suppose we could do something with that. And it kind of was this thing where I don't think me or Warhorse was really on board with it, but the idea snowballed, and the guys in charge were like, no, we're gonna do it. You guys are gonna be Fight Club. So that's what we did, and we kind of just did this tag team where basically he's the Tyler Durden.
Right.
Dwarves was like the Tyler Durden to my, I guess, Edward Norton.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was like one of those things where I think the first time we went out and did the tag team, we had no idea how we were gonna go with it, and I sort of just started playing it like, like as soon as the bell rang, I was kind of like, oh, I was no longer like I think like an accountant or something. I was like a wrestler now, and I would like go crazy and go psycho in the ring or something. It was kind of like a Jesse and Festus kind of thing. It was all over the place, but once we did it a few times, it actually got to be pretty fun and started to make sense. I think we did our best to make sense of like, okay, let's make a tag team that's Fight Club.
Right.
I'm not really sure what we do with that, but then as you just kind of get a feel for it, and it's fun. I would hope there's still some footage you can find of it. I mean, if you maybe YouTube NWL, and the tag team was called the Underground, you might be able to find some of it. But then, yeah, we did it for like a maybe 6 months or so, and then the Major Baysden, he was the Kansas City Millionaire guy. He decided he wanted to talk a bunch of shit on to the city of St. Louis, and I'm a big St. Louis home guy, so I don't know, I didn't take too kindly to it, and then I don't know, I was fired. So that's that whole story.
You
as tightened up as I could tell.
Die on that sword, that St. Louis sword. I respect that. I do respect that. I won't bring up the 2004 World Series with the Cardinals in Red Sox. I was good.
I remember it well. I remember being well, I guess I would have been about 11 or 12 years old. I think I cried. I definitely cried at that series just because it was such a disaster for the Cardinals.
I also cried, but for a different reason. But then the Cardinals did win one, 2006.
2006, then 2011. So 2 since then.
Oh, so okay. Well, we'll go way off at the tangent here. Albert Pujols, an amazing Cardinal. Then went to the Angels, but to me, he's always a Cardinal. Just I don't even know. Did he retire? Got caught? Whatever. He's now with the Dodgers. I don't even have a comment. I don't even have a question. All I know is
that is a current event that is
a current event that just happened. Did he retire or did he just get caught?
No, I think they just cut him. I think it was some sort of disagreement with the manager and general manager over there. I think they were just going to sit him down because I think the Angels had a pretty good shot at being. They got tons of
great
players on the team. So I think it was something where they wanted to maybe sit Albert down for a bit. And Albert's like, no, I'm Albert Pujols. I don't sit on the bench, and that sort of snowballed into some situation where they just sort of were like, all right, well, we're just going to cut you. Which didn't really sit well with most of the league, just because Albert's such a legend and so respected, and yeah, great guy that everyone was always a big fan of, and a lot of people were friends with. So, but yeah, they got picked up by the Dodgers. So
I'm shocked he didn't go to the Cardinals. At least he probably wanted.
I'm sure it was on the table. Yeah. I think Cardinals are always especially. I think with this year we definitely have a team that is going to be very competitive, should make the playoffs and have a pretty good playoff run if everyone stays healthy and keeps playing well. So I think maybe if the team needed some help or maybe needed something to spice things up, I think they would have done it. But I think it probably didn't make sense for this particular Cardinals team the way that they're looking. But I think it was on the table. I think that it was just sort of discussed. But I guess the Dodgers got there first and made it happen. So I'm happy for him. I'm happy that he found a place to land. would have been cool to see him in kind of retire as a Cardinal or something.
Yeah,
But that's
he
just
probably
kind of
will. He probably will end up retiring as a Cardinal eventually down the line. That would be my assumption if somebody books it correctly. Is Yadier Molina the greatest Cardinal of all time?
of all time. That'll always be Stan Musial,
Uh,
but I do love Yadi for the fact that he's a lifelong Cardinal.
yeah,
He's never played for another team. We had a little bit of a scare with this past offseason where he was weighing his options and seeing what else was out there. But luckily he came back, and Yanni's an interesting player because he's like only gotten better with age. It's like he's gotten in better shape as
Isn't
he's
that
gotten
weird?
older. Like if you look at Yachty in like 2004
Huge.
versus what he looks like now, he's like in amazing shape. He's hitting better than he ever has in his entire career, and he's in his late 30s. And it's like, I think that's my favorite thing about him is that he's been a great Cardinal for his entire career, but the fact that he's like having his best years right here at the end, and he still wants to keep playing, and he's still like a super intense and hardworking player. So he's definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely respect him and like him. All right, there's our baseball recap of the night. Sorry, everybody. I do have one more comment on Dan the Dad as a wrestler, and then I want to get to Glory Pro. Glory Pro. I practiced today, not saying something different. Glory Pro.
If you say Glory Pro Wrestling, it rolls off the tongue.
Glory Pro Wrestling. That's much better. You're right. It does. I watched a bunch of your matches today, and I've noticed you do have the greatest gimmick. I think you've worked yourself into a perfect spot because as Dan the Dad, you don't take many bumps.
Try not to. That's
smart. And you can work that for a long, long time. That was well done out of you. So good job.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is Dan the Dad, it started late 2019, started to, kind of get some momentum in early 2020. So there hasn't been that many matches with the character. So it's
right.
There's definitely going to be some stuff that we're going to pull out that'll be surprising, but it's, as I was just sort of starting with the character, there was a lot of, we'll just do some goofy stuff and kind of introduce people to the character. But I know now that we're back, now that if I'm wrestling more, trying to wrestle more singles matches with some great, me and Eric Cannon this Saturday that I'm really looking forward to. He's one of the best. So yes, I do agree. I try not to bump too much or avoid it when I can, but you'll see a different side of Dan the Dad coming up as we kind of ramp up again and get going, because I think I've only actually had maybe 20-25 matches with the character. It's really it seems old because it's kind of started almost 2 years ago, but you got to remember there's a whole year in between of a whole lot of nothing. So
right. Social media help you build that character though?
Yeah, it did. I think I like the social media aspect of it, but I like doing it in the ring and in front of a crowd. And I think sometimes it requires context as to like, if I'm on Twitter just telling dad jokes, it's like, okay, that's kind of funny, but like, who are you? But like when you see the dad joke in a wrestling ring and there's like, that's what I enjoy more. And I think that's what people enjoy more, is kind of seeing it in the context of a wrestling match as opposed to just like, oh, a guy doing dad shtick just on Twitter or whatever. So I do both, and I enjoy the Twitter interaction. And then I started kind of getting going on Twitch myself, playing some games.
Yeah,
and playing some games and just kind of getting chatting with people. I started doing that earlier, January or February of this year, just because I was just missing people so much and missing fans and missing interacting with people. I was posting tweets and videos and I'm like, this is just me kind of just sort of being goofy, and that's fine, but like I enjoy the social aspect of it. I want to talk to people. I want to interact with them a little bit more, something live. So like the Twitch thing started as just kind of like a way to talk to people, just kind of playing some retro games and just getting, and we barely even pay attention to the game sometimes. It's really just to hang out, just to chat about wrestling or whatever's going on, movies, anything that anybody wants to talk about. So I really enjoy that.
For sure. That's literally how this show was born. I used to stream video games all the time, and then I barely played them and stopped paying
Yeah.
attention to them. It was just talking all the time. So I gave that up on that. So are you enjoying Twitch? Is it fun?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It was something to kind of figure out. I think it was awkward at first, but you're just kind of like, I'd fire up the N64 and kind of be sitting there playing, and then you just sort of, and I'm sure you know this,
Yep.
you learn the skills of being able to just kind of interact and engage and talk and get the interaction going. So it was definitely a learning experience. I thought it was kind of awkward at first, and I didn't really like it. But then as the community started to
Yeah.
build, it's something I look forward to. I try to do it at least twice a week, sometimes only once a week, but when I can, it's fun to just to get all my people back in the chat and hang out. I love to see it grow, and there's some new people that drop in and become consistent viewers, and it's fun. It just was a little bit awkward at first. I used to be one of those people who thought like, well, why would someone want to watch
Right.
someone play video games? And then I started doing it. I'm like, I get it now.
Yeah.
Like, I
They
get
don't
it.
want. They don't care. They don't want to
It's not
watch.
about the video
Yeah.
game. It's about the hangout. It's about the social interaction. It's about all that. So
Yeah.
I learned pretty quick, and I really enjoy it now.
Twitch.tv/thanks Dan the Dad. So check that out for sure. So Glory Pro, you're not only are you wrestling this weekend. Now correct me if I'm wrong. You're the promoter. Are you the owner of Glory Pro Wrestling?
It's myself and one other business partner.
Okay.
But yeah.
How did that come about? Short story, I guess.
So Glory Pro was started so I was trained by Michael Elgin. So that was something that he started back in 2017 was the first year of it. Towards the end of that year, without getting into it too much,
Right.
there needed to be a changing of the guard as far as who was in charge, and it was either that or it would have just gone away. I think the first year of Glory Pro, it came out really hot. We had tons of great talent come through there in that first year, and then some of our talent was starting to get really popular. Guys like Paco and Kurt Stallion just kind of come to mind as like these guys who Jake something, Myron Reed, like so many guys who were getting like a big opportunity through Glory Pro. So when the decision had to be made is either do we just let this die or to keep it going, myself and KLD, who was my tag team partner at the time, we were kind of like helping out a little bit behind the scenes, but it just would have broken my heart if somebody like a Kurt Stallion, he's a talented guy, he would have made it on his own no matter where. But the fact that we all put in all this hard work over that year, kind of introducing ourselves to people and getting a cool product together, I just hated to see it just sort of just vanish out of nowhere. So that was when me and Kev just kind of stepped up to lead it. We'd had no experience. I think it was kind of rough the first year or two, just simply because we didn't really know what we were doing. I mean,
Right.
that is plain and simple. But as the years kind of went on, and when we figured out how to run it and what worked and what didn't, and what talent was working, and who the fans wanted to see and who they didn't want to see, and all these things that go into it. It's definitely one of my favorite aspects of my life now, just because it takes up a lot of my time. It's very busy. There's not a lot of money in it. There's not a lot of it's wrestling, so it's not like we're making money hand over fist or anything. So, but in terms of just like a creative outlet of being able to put stories together and book cards and also just kind of cultivate a roster of it's an entire roster of some of my favorite people, not just because of their personalities, but because they're great wrestlers. And we definitely vet our talent to where we got to know that you're a good person. We got to know that you're going to be a great wrestler, but also great for the locker room. We have a very tight knit locker room of everyone who's kind of has that same mindset. So I really enjoy it. I love it. I love promoting it. I love the feeling of like the jitters before a show, and then the show kind of once that first match kicks off, the thing kind of runs itself. So it's
Right.
like you kind of can breathe easy once the show gets kicked off and everything's running, and you just hope that nothing really terrible happens there or anything. But that's kind of the most of the story there. So it's been a lot of fun. I'm just enjoying keeping it going as best I can, really.
Yeah, it sounds extremely. Is it challenging to, run it, book, promote, as well as also, also you're also Dan the Dad who is on the card as well. What's the biggest challenge there?
Oh, the biggest challenge, it would be a lot easier if I could either just wrestle or
Right.
just promote. Doing both is extremely difficult, and
But they
I guess
probably want Dan the Dad on the card, right? I'm sure. I'm sure if the fans didn't want Dan the Dad on the card, Dan the Dad probably wouldn't be on the card.
yeah, exactly. And
Right.
so, and I enjoy wrestling just as much as promoting. So definitely like to keep myself in the mix, and but it is difficult to to do all that while also putting a match together, while also trying to handle a locker room. And I've got help. I've got another business partner who's awesome and helps with everything, and a great locker room. That it's great just to have a locker room that I don't really got to worry about. It's mostly like, here's your match, here's what member you are, here's what we want. I don't think a single person in the locker room who I don't trust to like have a great match without even with minimal direction. And that's the only way that
Right.
makes it possible to be able to kind of, like I said, when that first bell kicks off, everyone's good. Everyone runs it. So it's like, it's really more like almost like a team effort that runs Glory Pro. I wouldn't say that it's, me just like out there, like calling the shots for everyone. It's just kind of like, here's the people that we all like and who are great wrestlers. And here's a card and here's what you're going to be doing. And everyone's such a pro that they can pull it off with that minimal direction. So if it was a roster full of people who maybe needed a little bit more direction, or maybe just couldn't be trusted to do what they do on their own, there's no way I could also wrestle on the show.
Yeah.
But it's definitely just like the roster and the team that makes that possible for sure.
Phenomenal. And that show is this weekend. What's the name of it again? I forgot.
Wild Ambition. So
Wild
it's
Ambition. I should have typed it down. Should have done that. Wild Ambition. It is a stat card because I do remember seeing the poster. I know Myra Reed will be on the card as well. Yourself. Help me out, Dan.
Josh Alexander.
Josh Alexander. That's right.
Division champion. So he'll actually be where he's going to defend that X Division championship against Mike Outlaw. So I'm very excited for that.
They were both pointing at their headgear in that picture, I believe.
And then we've got Jake something, and everyone you'd expect. Paco, Lee Moriarty's coming for the first time to St. Louis, so I'm excited about that. Allie Catch and Blair Onyx and Say Sheen and then Cody Lane. It's everyone that's going to put on a great show that you'd expect from a Glory Pro show. I'm just excited. I'm very excited to have Josh Alexander back. Him and Ethan Page were super instrumental, especially in some of those years where we were trying to kind of get a feel for how to run the show. Having Josh and Ethan in the mix as like locker room leaders were always helpful in those days. And now it's just to have Josh back on Saturday and then Ethan coming back at our July event. I'm super excited about that, those guys, because they've always been like big brothers to me and the rest of the locker room.
Someone in the chat, Ryan Romano, our announcer, very excited for Blair Onyx, who I guess I don't know anything about. I'm gonna have to learn about.
Yeah, Blair's great. She's got this creepy spider gimmick that she does really well. She's like she's got some contortionist abilities that she kind of contorts herself into the shape of a spider. If that's the best way that I can describe it, it's wild. You should check her out.
It creeps me out just thinking about it. Wild Ambition. Look, I remembered that. That's this weekend, and then the July show. That one no, wait. It's Top Gun. The heat is on. That's what it is.
There you go.
July 7th, July something or other. We got all the links in the chat, your Twitter, thanks Dan the Dad, your Twitch, your Instagram, your Big Cartel. But before I hand you the mic to put yourself over or do whatever you want, I don't care, I won't interrupt. I want a dad joke. Do you got a good dad joke for me?
Good dad joke. Gosh, you're really putting me on the spot.
I did put you on the spot. How about a dadism? You got any cool dadisms for me?
A dadism, I honestly, they tell you that it's a myth to change your oil every 3,000 miles. It's not. You got to change it every 3,000 miles. So the manufacturer's recommendation is usually the most important thing to consider when you're taking care of your vehicle. So if somebody tries to be like, no, you can wait 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 miles, they're lying to you. Change it every 3,000, and you'll be good.
Awesome. Phenomenal. Dan the Dad, at the end of every show, I'm going to give you the mic. Now you literally have an open floor. I mean, you've had it all night, but at this time, I will not interrupt. You can put whatever you want over. You can bury anyone or anything or say anything you want. I don't care unless it's about the Red Sox 2004 World Series. Then I will cut you off.
Okay.
But other than that, the floor is yours. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, I had nothing prepared, but I guess just thanks to everyone who's followed me over the past couple of years. Especially if you've got introduced to me as Dan the Dad and you didn't even know me before, which is most people because I wasn't doing much before this. So I appreciate that everyone that stuck together over the past year because it sucked and it was hard to stay relevant, and I was able to rely on a lot of great fans to kind of keep everything alive. So so that's really all I got, is say thank you to everyone who stuck by, and now we're finally getting back to some action, and the calendar's filling up. So I'm just excited to see everyone, and whether it be in St. Louis or Chicago or wherever I'm going to be, hopefully up to Canada again sometime soon. Who knows when, but I miss my Canadian fans most of all, I think, because they were so instrumental in even getting me started as Dan the Dad. So I guess I just want to say I miss all the kids. I miss you guys, and but I'll see you soon because we're getting back to business here.
Awesome, phenomenal. Yeah, I think it's great because I didn't know anything about you. Like I learned about you through this pandemic time where there wasn't anything happening, and it's interesting. But yeah, get up there to Alpha One. And Vanessa, you want to see him up there in Canada, right?
Sure do.
Sure do. With his clipboard of fun. We want to see that. It needs to be like one of those like school clipboards with like the brown on the back, the metal, a yellow legal pad on top. Clipboard of fun right there. Let's do it. Dan the Dad, this weekend, Wild Ambition. Yes? Yes.
Yes, and you can see that on the High Spots Network. It won't be streaming live, but it'll be uploaded. Should be on Tuesday or Wednesday following the show. So we get it out pretty fast, even if it's not streaming live. So you just got to check it out on the High Spots Wrestling Network, and check out our last event too. Battle on Broadway is streaming now on High Spots, and you can check that out to get all ready for this next event.
Phenomenal. You've been a pleasure to have on. The door is always open. You're welcome back anytime. You're now family. You are our dad. You're the stream dad, and you need to promote something.
Dad. I like the stream dad. I might steal it. Maybe that'll make that my new Twitch handle.
It's all yours. I'm sure somebody might have it. Maybe not, but it's yours. You can have it. The stream dad. I'm putting you over. So there you go. Have a great night. You've been a pleasure, man. Come back anytime.
Right. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Good night. Phenomenal stuff.